that saves the noise for everybody else concerned in the house.
There was no place to practice. We didn't have any transport either, so it was quite handy.
What were your ambitions like at this time? I mean, you were obviously finding it difficult to practice the way you wanted to.
We didn't have any ambitions, really.
You formed the band, didn't you, Andy?
No, well,
yeah?
Me and Vince did, yeah.
And it was originally 2 guitars and 1 synth, I think, or you had guitars involved. And Dave, you went to another school, which was Barnstable Comprehensive School.
Yeah.
You originally wanted to be a window dresser, I believe.
Well, I was at college, doing window dressing and fashion. And I was still at college when I met the band. I was sort of messing about with another band, and we were rehearsing in the same school. And Vince phoned me up and asked me if I would sing for the band.
So what was your reaction to that straight away?
Well, I don't know. I just sort of said, yeah, well, I'll come along to some rehearsals. We done some rehearsals, and it just went from there, really. We got some gigs. And
you had no ambitions at all then as a singer? You wanted to get on in the world of fashion as such?
Well, I don't know. I wasn't that happy in what I was doing at college because I didn't go that much. College makes you very lazy. And the band really came along at the right time.
Now, you all joined together then as a 4-piece at that time, didn't you? With a great name, it seems, but really bad music. Would you agree it was bad music at that time?
I don't know, we thought it was great.
When we listen back to tapes, you know, obviously we...
Oh yeah, we listen to that and laugh now.
Yeah.
So you still have the tapes of some of your original material then?
Yes.
Which
we used to, when we first started, we did concerts around people's houses in Basildon. That's before Dave joined, and it was quite good. One of the gigs we played in front of 7 people and 10 teddy bears. And we dressed up in pyjamas, and it was just a good laugh. We still got the tape of that concert. We done a lot of gigs around people's houses. When
doing your first gig, I believe one of your first gigs was at an under-12 disco. Was that the one that you were on about now?
No, that was our first proper concert. That was quite funny as well.
When you say proper, the fact that you were getting paid for it, is that what you mean?
No, we wasn't getting paid. It was a favour because at that time we was rehearsing in this youth club. We played, you know, just for a favour. But the funny thing was the kids had never seen a synthesiser before. And they were just fiddling about with the knobs and that. And
yeah. And they all thought it was all flash or something, did they?
Well, yeah, it was a very small synthesiser as well. It was quite funny though.
So what influenced you to use synthesizers then, rather than the straight bass, lead and drums and so on? Was it just the fact that it was a new sound for you?
Martin influenced you really, didn't he? I mean, like,
we was all very jealous of Martin.
Martin had one and they didn't, so they thought, well, we want to get one as well. And it
just because he had one?
Yeah.
So why did you ditch the guitars though? I mean, there must be a reason for that. I mean, most bands had a guitar, don't they?
We didn't have good guitars really. We didn't have good amps. We didn't have any transport to take amps places. So it seemed a natural thing to do, really.
So you were thinking of practical reasons then, really, weren't you?
I mean,
it was also we wanted to as well. I mean, it's just the sort of stuff we was listening to at the time. We was really sort of into craft work and things then, you know. So it seemed natural.
How long ago was this, in fact? How many years?
19 months.
That's not too long ago, is it, really?
Not really, no.
We've been very lucky. We've been at the right place, right time.
Is it true that you used to join in with the gospel choir at the local church just to store your equipment there, I believe, at one time?
Well, we rehearsed there for a while as well because we got connections through Martin's girlfriend's dad's a steward at this church, and we practiced there in the hall. It's quite funny, really.
But were you genuinely interested in choir singing as such? Was the vicar under false impressions or something?
Not me, nothing to do with me.
No, not really, not in the choir. There wasn't a church choir.
Who was responsible for giving you direction, you know, for the band when you were rehearsing about 18 months ago? Who was the man?
Vince was the main man. He was always the one with the pushing him because he was unemployed and that, and we was working. He had time and everything, and he was the one who really
he wanted
pushed
the
band
success,
along.
Yeah, he wanted to be successful, but really we thought it was just a laugh at the beginning, you know, and it just, the way it happened was that we were just seen by Daniel, and he picked us up and we released a single, and it went from there.
So when did it all come serious for you then? How long did it take? About 6 months, did you say?
We left work when New Life was in the charts.
About number 20 something.
That's when we left work. So, you know, we was doing Top of the Pops and going back to work the next day.
What sort of work were you doing then at that time?
I was an insurance clerk.
In London. Of course, you don't want to look back on that, do you?
Well, it was all right. Yeah. I don't think I'd want to do it again though. I can't see myself going back to work really.
Not a normal job.
Not a normal 40-hour-a-week job.
What about the first demo? We'll talk about New Life and some of your singles in a moment, but what about the first demo tape? Who persuaded you to get that together? Was it Vince again?
Well, we all did. We all chipped in some money, you know, and we thought it was brilliant. We took it around all the companies and that.
And they all hated it.
So you've had your problems with record companies as well, then, have you?
Yeah.
So we thought it was brilliant at the time, but now when we listen back, we think we can
It's
understand.
very weak.
We can understand why they didn't take us on.
Yeah.
In fact, there's so many bands in this area, they get so despondent when being turned down and sometimes completely ignored. What sort of advice would you give to these bands? Just keep on looking.
Just keep trying. I think
we was in a better position because we was near London and we was playing concerts in London. I think you've got a much better chance if you're in London.
Because you're seeing there's scouts from record companies out all the time. They just go to the general sort of club circuit around London, and that's their job, to go there every night and look at bands. So, and I don't really think that you'd probably get that many scouts up here. As
our listeners already know, you come from Basildon. Was it much of a tough decision for you to move to London full time?
We
still live in Basildon.
So you commute as such?
Yeah, we're commuters.
Do you find that difficult in any way?
No, I commuted for 2 years, so it doesn't really bother me. And Martin did as well.
I did really to college as well. I went to Southend, so it was about the same sort of journey, but it's the opposite way.
What about gigs in London? Did you use the futurist trend at that time to get you those gigs? Was that the only reason why you were getting the gigs in London?
No, I mean, well, as far as that goes, I mean, I was dressed in the clothes that I was wearing then a couple of years before I met the band anyway, and that was just the way our friends and the people that we were going out with dressed.
Dave, tell us how New Life came to being and how you got that recording contract that you wanted.
Well, Daniel Miller from Mute Records met us at the Bridge House, a gig in London, supporting one of his other bands, and he asked us to do Dreaming of Me, and we recorded Dreaming of Me, and that sort of went to about number 50. And then we recorded another one with Daniel, which was New Life, and that went to number 11, I think. Number 11?
Yeah.
Of course, there was Photographic, was it?
Yeah, that was on a Some Bizarre album, a compilation album.
But Mute Records is actually an independent label, isn't it?
Yeah.
So when you were down there in London, of course, Dreaming of Me was doing quite well, and of course New Life was doing quite well. You were starting to get waving dotted lines in front of your noses for contracts, but you stayed with Daniel Miller and Mute Records. At that time, did you think that Daniel could give you the success a bigger record company could give you?
Well,
he said
he said he could, and we trusted him. We trusted him to. He said he can do as well as a major label could do, and we trusted him, and we stuck with him, and he's proved that he can.
Is there anything that he hasn't done for you, do you think?
No, I don't think so. I think he's done as much as he can. The records went as high as they would, and they both went. You know, New Life nearly went silver, and Just Can't Get Enough was silver.
Yeah, that was more of a commercial single for me.
Yeah.
Was it meant as a number one single as such?
What, Just Can't Get Enough?
Yeah.
Not really, no. I think it was more instant-like. When I'm bored of it now.
Yeah.
Because it's that sort of single that you like it when you first do it, and then you get very bored of that sort of record. Whereas I think a new single is more, it grows on you, and you have to hear it a few times.
Yeah, you mentioned that you got bored of Just Can't Get Enough, and yet I think it's very, very catchy. Does this give me the impression that you'll be changing material a lot in the near future?
I don't think so. No, I don't think we'll be changing that drastically. But obviously, you only look to improve. You don't go back. So just hope, you know.
You are a part of the futurist trend. Would you say that, or don't you want to be part of the futurist trend?
I wouldn't say we was that big a part of it now. As when we first began, the audience were sort of all frilly shirts, whereas now we get a lot of different people, which is good, really.
Because your band don't wear makeup, do they?
No.
How do you feel about makeup? Come on, honestly, now.
How do we feel about it? It's all right.
We used to wear it.
We used to, when it was like trendy to wear it, but we.
So you're saying now that it's not trendy to wear makeup? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think it's a bit old hat. I mean, blokes have been wearing makeup going out for years, and it's been done now.
Yeah. Right, well, I know that you've got to go off to a sound check very shortly,
Yep.
and you're playing at the Victoria Hall tonight. We only hope that you have a great time, and I'm sure the two girls are pleased for coming in today. And then, of course, there's Mandy over here who wanted to come and see how the interview was done and so on. I hope it was okay for you, Mandy, was it? Good. And you're going to the concert as well. Have a nice time. Thanks for coming into the studio, and thanks for being so patient.